Welcome to the stream, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. So the great Tucker Carlson, yesterday he interviewed Putin. And he dropped a video, which I'm going to play in just a moment. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. You will love my channel, I promise you. This is the most pro-Donald Trump place anywhere. Now, this interview with Putin, I predict, is going to be the most viewed interview in the history of the interview. I think it is safe to assume that the Tucker Carlson-Putin interview will get 1 billion views on all the various platforms and everything that the interview will be posted to, between retweets and people playing the interview, sharing clips of it. And it's a very important interview. And I want to play this. This is Tucker Carlson talking about why he interviewed Putin. And I don't think anyone can argue with his reasons why he interviewed Putin. I don't understand why this is a controversy. CNN's all upset about it. And before we play that, I'll just to give you one example of something CNN has done in the past. CNN, this is CNN's YouTube channel. They interviewed Osama bin Laden. So why is interviewing Osama bin Laden okay, but Tucker Carlson interviewing Putin, well, that's a problem. Well, it's simple. The reason is they don't want the truth about Ukraine to be out there. They don't want people to hear Putin. They don't want Putin to start talking about what's really going on in Ukraine. They don't want to humanize him. But most importantly, the beast that is the military-industrial complex that is funding all the uniparty Republican establishment Democrats and that senile old coot, Joe Biden, that military-industrial complex, they don't want the truth of Ukraine out. So let's get right into it. Tucker Carlson.
We're in Moscow tonight. We're here to interview the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. We'll be doing that soon. There are risks to conducting an interview like this, obviously. So we've thought about it carefully over many months. Here's why we're doing it. First, because it's our job. We're in journalism. Our duty is to inform people. 2 years into a war that's reshaping the entire world, most Americans are not informed. They have no real idea what's happening in this region, here in Russia or 600 miles away in Ukraine. But they should know. They're paying for much of it in ways they might not fully yet perceive.
Okay, now just on this first point, this is brilliant. Yeah, he's a journalist. He's a reporter. And since there's been reporting, reporters go out and interview people like CNN with bin Laden, Chavez. They used to love to hang out with Castro. And remember when Sean Penn went and was hanging out with El Chapo? I don't remember people saying, oh, Sean Penn. Remember when Sean Penn went to Iraq before the war? Are you kidding me? So I don't understand now. It's like some type of treasonous act, according to the uniparty, according to the press, to do journalism.
The war in Ukraine is a human disaster. It's left hundreds of thousands of people dead, an entire generation of young Ukrainians, and it's depopulated the largest country in Europe. But the long-term effects are even more profound. This war has utterly reshaped the global military and trade alliances, and the sanctions that followed have as well. And in total, they have upended the world economy. The post-World War II economic order, the system that guaranteed prosperity in the West for more than 80 years, is coming apart very fast, and along with it, the dominance of the US dollar. These are not small changes. They are history-altering developments. They will define the lives of our grandchildren. Most of the world understands this perfectly well. They can see it. Ask anyone in Asia or the Middle East what the future looks like. And yet the populations of the English-speaking countries seem mostly unaware. They think that as nothing has really changed. And they think that because no one has told them the truth. Their media outlets are corrupt. They lie to their readers and viewers. And they do that mostly by omission. For example, since the day the war in Ukraine began, American media outlets have spoken to scores of people from Ukraine, and they have done scores of interviews with Ukrainian President Zelensky. We ourselves have put in a request for an interview with Zelensky, and we hope he accepts.
Yeah.
But the interviews he's already done in the United States are not traditional interviews. They are fawning pep sessions specifically designed to amplify Zelensky's demand that the U.S. enter more deeply into a war in Eastern Europe and pay for it. That is not journalism. It is government propaganda. Propaganda of the ugliest kind, the kind that kills people. At the same time, our politicians and media outlets have been doing this, promoting a foreign leader like he's a new consumer brand. Not a single Western journalist has bothered to interview the president of the other country involved in this conflict, Vladimir Putin. Most Americans have no idea why Putin invaded Ukraine or what his goals are now. They've never heard his voice.
You know, Tucker's right. You know, when this interview happens and Putin starts talking about why he invaded Ukraine, what led up to the invasion, why it happened, and what happened since this invasion, this is going to be completely new news to the American viewer. But this Putin interview, the record now for the most watched interview, not just by Tucker, but anyone, is held by President Trump, right? That interview that he did. The Putin interview is going to, as crazy as it sounds, the Putin interview with Tucker is going to get more viewers than the Trump interview. This is a global thing. We haven't seen an American journalist interview Putin in a long time, and certainly not very specifically talking about Ukraine. And the panic you're seeing in the media in this country, and that you will see from the politicians, even Biden today came out of the nursing home and had this bizarre press conference with a Ukrainian tie on, it looked like to me. They're in a panic. They're in a panic like when Trump cut the Iran deal, because the gravy train that they're all stealing from, going into this proxy war against Russia and Ukraine, this is the beginning of the end of it.
That's wrong. Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated in, and we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too. Freedom of speech is our birthright. We were born with the right to say what we believe. That right cannot be taken away no matter who is in the White House. But they're trying anyway. Almost 3 years ago, the Biden administration illegally spied on our text messages and then leaked the contents to their servants in the news media. They did this in order to stop a Putin interview that we were planning. Last month, we're pretty certain they did exactly the same thing once again. Wow. But this time, we came to Moscow anyway. We are not here because we love Vladimir Putin. We are here because we love the United States, and we want it to remain prosperous and free. We paid for this trip ourselves. We took no money from any government or group, nor are we charging people to see the interview. It is not behind a paywall. Anyone can watch the entire thing, shot live to tape and unedited, on our website, tuckercarlson.com. Elon Musk, to his great credit, has promised not to suppress or block this interview once we post it on his platform, X, and we're grateful for that. Western governments, by contrast, will certainly do their best to censor this video on other less principled platforms because that's what they do. They are afraid of information they can't control. But you have no reason to be afraid of it. We are not encouraging you to agree with what Putin may say in this interview, but we are urging you to watch it. You should know as much as you can. And then, like a free citizen and not a slave, you can decide for yourself. Thanks.
Wow. I mean, how can you disagree with any of that?
Obviously.
Right? I mean, everything Tucker said is spot on, right on the money. By the way, Deborah gifted a membership to Peter. Thanks, Deborah, and welcome, Peter. Remember, members, you have all those cool emojis, and you get your name in a color, so you stand out in the chat. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. You know, the left in this country that have this proxy war going on with Russia, the left were always the give peace a chance crowd, right? They were always the give peace a chance crowd. And where are they now? War, 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 endless war. And everyone, you know what? One of the many problems they have going on, there's many problems that the Uniparty, the military-industrial complex, the deep state media like CNN and Fox News, you know, the Democrats, the Republicans, you know, the non-MAGA Republicans, which would be the Uniparty, the establishment. One of the problems they're having is they're trying to tell you that the territorial sovereignty of Ukraine was violated by Russia. And we have to defend the sovereignty of Ukrainians' borders. Well, how the hell can you do that when this senile old coot right here This is today. Wait till you see this. This will scare you. This guy's got the nuclear freaking football. Wait till you see this. This guy right here not only has our border completely open, in the time that he's been in the White House, we have averaged 4.6 million illegals a year. Okay? 4.6 million illegals a year coming into the country. All right? The birth rate is less than that. The current birth rate in the United States is about 3.6, 3.7 million. Okay? The death rate's about 3.5 million. So Biden, who's telling us Ukraine is how dare Putin violate the border sovereignty of Ukraine, has not only has completely opened up our border, he's bringing illegals here, setting them up with an entire paid-for life, okay, at a rate greater than our birth rate. Think about that. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian?
Yes.
Hey, good afternoon. It's Nick from
Baltimore. Nick. Hey, Nick, what's up?
Yeah, we're watching your podcast. We just joined it because my sister came in and told me, and I'm watching you.
Awesome, thank you.
And I'm seeing this senile old couth, as you say, mumbling through the press conference with no questions. And you know that the Supreme Court knocked out President Trump's immunity.
That was an appellate court.
That was the D.C. appellate court. Okay.
Yeah, the D.C. appellate court, not the Supreme Court. By the way, Biden here, he's wearing a Ukrainian tie and a Ukrainian flag.
He's using the Ukrainian tie and a flag.
Yeah. What the hell?
So let me ask you a question, though. What effect is this going to have now with the D.C. appellate court?
Oh, I don't know. I'll probably talk about the thing about. I want to talk about this stuff with Tucker, but I'll comment on that.
Okay.
So what? It's just another step to the Supreme Court. I mean, they got 3 judges, right? Two of the judges on this D.C. appellate court that said, "Oh, no immunity. Really, no immunity." What about that American girl that was being held hostage by the Taliban that Obama ordered an airstrike for? Can he be charged with her murder? This appellate court has 3 judges on it. 2 were appointed by Biden, and 1 was appointed by George W. Bush. I mean, what the hell? Kangaroo court. It's just right. So it'll have to go to the Supreme Court.
And on the Trump, on the Tucker interview, yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
Oh, I can't wait for it. I've been waiting for it for days.
Well,
Nick, it's good to talk to you.
I like what he said, and I agree with you, and I like what he said.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, you're all. Anytime I live stream, I take live calls. You're welcome to call in. Then, if you're watching live, the toll-free number to call in is pinned in the chat. So here's Biden, who's completely opened up our southern border. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. By the way, here he is talking about the territorial sovereignty of Ukraine while our border's open, wearing a damn Ukrainian tie and a Ukrainian flag on his lapel pin. Are you kidding me? Now this is going to scare the hell out of you. This guy has the nuclear football. Listen to this. This is nuts.
There is some movement, and I don't want to, well, maybe choose my words.
What the freak?
There's some movement. There's been a response from the...
yeah.
There's been a response from
oh my goodness
the opposition, but yes, I'm sorry, from Hamas, but it seems to be a little over the top. We're not sure where it is. There's a continuing negotiation right now.
What the hell is that about? Gee whiz! I mean, what is he talking about there? I don't think he knows what it is he's talking about there. But you know, it's disgusting enough that he's wearing the Ukrainian flag and a Ukrainian tie, but to be that out of it, my goodness. So then here he is, the same speech, Ukrainian tie, Ukrainian flag.
This bill would also address 2 other important priorities. First, provides urgent funding for Ukraine. I'm wearing my Ukraine tie, my Ukraine pin, which I've been wearing because they're in dire straits right now, defending themselves against.
Yeah, so's Texas. Texas is in dire straits defending themselves too, Biden.
For Ukraine, I'm wearing my Ukraine tie, my Ukraine pin, which I've been wearing because they're in dire straits right now, defending themselves against a Russian onslaught, a brutal conquest. The clock is ticking. Every week, every month that passes without new aid to Ukraine means fewer artillery shells, fewer air defense systems, fewer tools for Ukraine to defend itself against this Russian onslaught. Just what Putin wants.
What the hell? It's an interesting thing because in these early primary states, in the Republican primary, every poll and every interview I've seen by any media outlet, when they go to the voters in Iowa and New Hampshire, we'll see this in South Carolina too. What's the biggest issue? The border. You look at what's going. Trump has a new commercial out today about those illegals with the middle fingers that beat up the cops in New York. You've got liberals in New York who are saying Trump's the answer. Finish the wall. Remain in Mexico. Stop it. The main issue in this election that people, both Republican and Democrat, are pissed off about is the open border. We have no southern border now. Biden has completely erased it from all maps. And with that going on, he's trying to sell to the American people that border sovereignty in Ukraine is worthy of going to war with Russia. Let me tell you, what's going on in Russia is with Ukraine is none of our business. Okay? To me, it's a civil war. And Biden talks about how bad it is. They need more rockets, more this, more that. Since this war began, this proxy war in Ukraine, which is a way to enrich Biden, the uniparty sellout Republicans, the military-industrial complex, Zelensky and his henchmen, there's been one place that I've been going to since this proxy war in Ukraine began to find out what's going on in Ukraine. And those of you that have followed me for a while know what I'm going to go to. I'll take a call first, but we're going to get some real news from Ukraine in just a moment. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Sean from Massachusetts.
Hey, Sean.
Watching just Joe Biden, your brain starts to just degenerate watching that guy. It's like lo-fi, low energy, and I couldn't even believe that this. He gets up there, and I don't even know what to make of that. That is pathetic. He's not wearing an American tie, American flag. That's what you should be wearing. And I'm just watching this is pathetic, knowing what you just said about we do have a crisis. We have no border. That's what he should be focused on, and it's not even existent. And it's absolutely insane. Just thinking, the more you think about it, the crazier. You try to make sense of it, where these people's heads are. This is the Democrats.
Well, it's where they make their money. They're making their money. Biden's getting paid. The Uniparty's getting paid. Nikki Haley is getting paid. They're all getting paid by the military-industrial complex. Okay, Biden left all that equipment in Afghanistan, top equipment, tons of it. Right? What happened? We had to buy it all over again for our military. So the military-industrial complex sold the U.S. government all that equipment twice. Right? His whole presidency has been about making money off of war.
Yeah, as long as he can get 10%. That's at least 10% out of it.
Yeah,
he's all
him and Corn Pop.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's not a leader. I mean, he's just like the rest of them in his party, propagandists. You see it with CNN and NBC because they've interviewed many brutal people. The reputation's up the yin yang. Dictatorship, and they're getting mad at what Tucker's doing.
Well,
and
this one I showed this at the top of the stream. CNN right here. They interviewed Osama bin Laden.
Right. I mean,
so why is it okay to interview Osama bin Laden? This is official CNN interview. Peter Arnett interviewed Osama bin Laden for CNN. Yeah. Why is it treason to interview Putin, but Osama bin Laden you get like awards and patted on the back and all of this?
Right.
Anyone explain?
Because it puts a wrench into their deep state operation.
That's
going on. I mean, I think there's a lot going on in Ukraine.
You're right.
There's a lot of these corrupt people here. I mean,
that's right.
Maybe and in this interview Tucker's going to conduct, it's going to be amazing to see what's going to be said. I wonder if Putin will say, "I'm in there."
I can't wait. I've been waiting for this interview since Sunday morning, man. Hey, listen, thanks for your call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian, it's Daniel in Mississippi. I hope you can understand me now.
Yeah, you sound well, Daniel. Yes. How can I help you?
Hey, wouldn't it be great if Tucker goes over and gets that Marine out of that prison over?
You know, an American just died. An American journalist just died in one of Zelensky's prisons. He was in prison. You know, come on.
I really thought that was what he was trying to do, was get that Marine out of the prison over there.
I don't know.
Thought that's what he was doing.
I think Tucker Carlson's trying to end the war in Ukraine. If he gets the guy out of prison, that's good.
He's gonna talk to him about it. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but they sent that dude way up wherever. They prolonged his deal. And
I haven't seen any update. It's an interesting thing. I haven't seen any updates on Tucker returning home. The last I heard of Tucker in real time was yesterday afternoon around this time when he was leaving the Kremlin. So he went to the Kremlin and interviewed Putin, and I haven't heard from him since. Hey, listen, I appreciate your call. Yeah, if you're watching live, you're welcome to call in. The number to call in, the toll-free number, is pinned at the top of the chat. Now, excuse me, guys. Now, when this war began, I found a source of news and information that those of you who have watched me for a long time have seen me often refer to. And, Biden is always telling us that Ukraine is on the verge of collapse. They need this weapon. They need that weapon system. They need unlimited money. And by the way, we're paying for their entire pensions of their people, their government, everything, their police department, their fire department, their roads. We're paying for all of it in Ukraine. And when the Hamas terrorists invaded and attacked and did these barbaric things to Israel, and we saw the brutality of war, people started asking, well, why aren't we seeing footage like this in Ukraine with Russia if it's so bad? Now, there's a place I've been going since this war began to find out and this is what I'm about to share with you is not a joke, okay? I am as serious as a heart attack with this, okay? You want to find out what's really going on unfiltered in Ukraine. You don't go to the corporate media. You go to Pavlo from Ukraine. I've been watching Pavlo from Ukraine since the war between Russia and Ukraine began. Pavlo from Ukraine is a 20-something-year-old vlogger from Ukraine. Prior to the war, he was just vlogging normally, and then the war happened. And I follow Pavlo to see what's going on in Ukraine. And here we got a guy, he's 20-something years old, he's of military age, and he just hangs out and does home renovations with his girlfriend. Here he is, how we heat our home, how we heat our house in Ukraine during the winter. So he's working on the heat at the house. Here he is with his girlfriend and their beloved German Shepherd. We got a package from the USA. Someone sent him an American flag. Living the simple life in Ukraine's countryside. Back on the hunt, not for Russians, but apparently he's out on the hunt with his dog looking for mushrooms. Now he got this new house that you see here, and they've been doing some renovations. They found some things in the house here. It looks like hidden treasures from the USSR. It looks like some empty vodka bottles they found back in the days when the Soviet Union was in existence. Here, he and his girlfriend, and I'm trying to get my finger in the right place. Can't quite get it there because it's too far away. But right here in this video, here's his girlfriend, who apparently there's a shortage in Ukraine of bras because his girlfriend doesn't have any. Here she is, refinishing the door during their home renovation on their house. Where are the bombs? Where's the fighting? Why is he not in uniform? If Ukraine is on the verge of collapse, why isn't Pavlo in uniform fighting the Russians? If the Russian rape gang hordes are coming through Moscow, why is his girlfriend in the countryside without a bra on, refinishing her door? Here he is. He got a scooter. They've taken over this abandoned house in Ukraine. Here's another one. Life in Odessa during the war. They go to a beach resort. Look at this. Isn't that nice? Oh, yeah. Here he is. He found this old Russian car that he's refurbished, that he's driving around. You know, this is life in Ukraine. And Pavlo from Ukraine. And I've been watching him since the war began. Look at this. World's cheapest capsule hotel in Ukraine. Look at that cool welcome to the spacecraft, just doing vlogs of hotels. You know, here he is going out for vegetables and everything else. So if you want to know what's going on in Ukraine, and nothing against Pavlo from Ukraine, I subscribe to his channel and I watch his videos, Pavlo from Ukraine. I like Pavlo from Ukraine. He's a good guy and he's very good at vlogging. I enjoy it. But I'm surprised Zelensky hasn't caught up to Pavlo from Ukraine yet. Because when you watch Pavlo from Ukraine, you don't see rockets, you don't see armies, you don't see the Russian rape gangs, you don't see shortages of anything. He goes to the gives tours of the grocery stores, which are fully stocked. Looks like my grocery store here in Florida. This is where you go to find out what is going on in Ukraine. And I'm not kidding. Pavlo from Ukraine, this guy, you know, he should give me a commission. I've been promoting this guy since the war began. So, yeah, check that out. And now, of course, Biden was talking about meeting the French president that died, decades ago. And Jean-Pierre, who always looks very annoyed, was asked about this today.
How is President Biden ever going to convince the 3/4 of voters who are worried about his physical and mental health that he is okay, even though in Las Vegas he told a story about recently talking to a French president who died in 1996?
I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole with you.
I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole with you? What does she mean, go down that rabbit hole? He was talking about having a meeting with the president of France who died in 1996 when he was in the Senate.
How is President Biden ever going to convince the 3/4 of voters who are worried about his physical and mental health that he is okay, even though in Las Vegas he told a story about recently talking to a French president who died in 1996?
I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole with you,
Why?
Sir.
What is
We're
the
going
rabbit
to
hole?
go ahead.
He said
go
he
ahead.
talked to Mitterrand.
Go ahead. You saw the president in Vegas, in California. You've seen the president in South Carolina. You saw him in Michigan. I'll just leave it there. Go ahead.
What the hell does that mean? I mean, here he is talking. Maybe maybe he's a medium and has some power that we don't know about that allows him to speak to the dead. I don't know.
There is some movement, and I don't want to, well, maybe choose my words.
Oh, boy.
There's some movement. There's been a response from there's been a response from the opposition.
Oh, my
But, yes, I'm sorry, from Hamas. But it seems to be a little over the top. We're not sure where it is. There's a continuing negotiation right now.
What the freak is going on here? All this talk of impeaching Mayorkas, which should most definitely be done, by the way, but should not Kamala Harris be impeached? Kamala Harris has a constitutional duty to gather the cabinet and invoke the 25th Amendment. This guy should be in a nursing home. He's out of it. He's checked out. He can't even speak. All right? He can't even speak. Now, one of my favorite people who I recently interviewed, the great Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, man, if you love Marjorie Taylor Greene in the live chat, give me a 1 if you love Marjorie Taylor Greene. I love Marjorie Taylor Greene. I have her book. It's autographed, and I love it. She's awesome. I've interviewed her. I've met her. She's just one of the greatest She may be the greatest Republican woman who's ever served in the Congress. She stands up to this. She doesn't take any crap. You know. By the way, if Kamala doesn't invoke the 25th Amendment, has she not herself committed a crime? You know, when you're letting someone that is this mentally gone call in military strikes, how can he make a competent decision? But anyway, let's listen to the great Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Not one single person has been charged with insurrection. Not one single person has been convicted with insurrection. Not one. In every single court of our land, no one's been charged and convicted with insurrection, yet Democrats and dishonest people in the media every single day accuse President Trump of waging an insurrection and accuse many of us of waging an insurrection, and you're doing nothing but lying and selling the lies of the Democrats, all for campaigns and elections.
Yeah. So, you know, this fits into what Nick from Baltimore called in at the beginning of the stream and was talking about this D.C. appellate federal court. 3 judges, right? 2 appointed by Biden, 1 put on the court by war criminal George W. Bush. And remember, George W. Bush voted for Biden and Hillary Clinton. Okay? So that kangaroo court is meaningless. Okay? And it's not the Supreme Court. And it's an interesting thing, this ruling that President Trump, that presidents don't have immunity when they leave office. Do you know how many crimes have been committed by presidents? My goodness. You know, how many people died in Afghanistan because of Biden's botched withdrawal? Should he be charged with manslaughter of those people if presidents don't have immunity? Right? These bombing raids that Biden's doing against these Iranian-backed terrorists, which really mean they're U.S.-backed. We're backing Iran. We give money to Iran, and Iran gives it to terrorists that attack Israel and our own bases. Right? This attack that killed the 3 U.S. service personnel. Okay? God-awful attack. This attack, it's been reported since day one. It was a drone attack. The terrorists used a drone. I've been talking about this since last week. All right? This drone attack, they said that our defenses couldn't tell that it was an enemy drone. They mistakenly thought it was a U.S. drone. And I'm here to tell you, I believe it was a U.S. drone. I think that our soldiers were killed by a U.S. drone that Biden left behind in Afghanistan during the botched withdrawal that now is, and that equipment's made its way to terrorist organizations around the world. If that's true, if that was a U.S. drone that killed 3 U.S. service personnel, is Biden going to be charged with manslaughter? Presidents don't have immunity after all, they say, or is that just Trump? All right, back to the great Marjorie Taylor Greene. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. If you're already subbed, like the video.
Shame on every single person that has done that. Shame on you. You need to tell the truth. You have the freedom of press, one of the greatest rights in this entire world. And anyone that puts the word insurrectionist, calls President Trump an insurrectionist, and calls any of us an insurrectionist is a liar, and you do not deserve the power that you possess. Shame on you. Shame on you. Let me give you guys a little history lesson, okay? When President Trump was inaugurated, Antifa and leftist rioters nearly burned down Washington, D.C. Did you call it an insurrection? No. BLM raised millions of dollars on the Act Blue Democrat fundraising website, and then proceeded to cause $2 billion in damages across American cities and communities, all in 2020, every day. Not one day for 3 hours, every damn day. Did you call it an insurrection? They attacked police officers, federal courthouses, tore down statues, burned 93 police vehicles. Did you in the media call it an insurrection? No, you did not. You called it mostly peaceful. And you lied to the American people, and the American people don't trust you anymore because of that. And then the American people who pay for elections with their tax dollars.
Yeah, so here, we'll get back to this. You know, Marjorie Taylor Greene went through it step by step. And, you know, the thing about the media, what they've done is they have crafted this false narrative, okay? They've crafted this false narrative that Trump is an insurrectionist. Well, if no one's been charged with insurrection, if no one's been convicted of to be convicted, they have to be charged. So if no one's been charged or convicted, why is he an insurrectionist? If those people at the Capitol, and by the way, it's not Marjorie Taylor Greene or Donald Trump who says those people, the J6ers, are not insurrectionists. It's Merrick Garland's Justice Department. Merrick Garland's Justice Department is the one that's been prosecuting, that's the Biden Justice Department, been prosecuting the J6ers all this time. And if they haven't charged anyone with insurrection, that means Merrick Garland and the Biden administration are saying that there was no insurrection, right? That's right. It's not just Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's Joe Biden, his corrupt administration, and the very corrupt Merrick Garland. All right. Now, here we have Biden yet again. You know, the sovereignty of Ukraine's border. We got to go to war with a nuclear power. It's Ukrainian border sovereignty. Why our border has been completely erased. Here he is again with he's very excited. He's got his he's got his Ukrainian tie on and his Ukrainian flag. That is a Ukrainian tie. That is a Ukrainian flag next to our great American flag.
The position of the MAGA Republicans can be characterized by the New York Times headline.
Okay, now this here, I just go back to this MAGA Republican thing they've been doing. This is something they've been doing for months, and they're really stepping it up now because Trump is doing so well. See, the reason that this military-industrial complex sellout spokesgirl, Nikki Haley, is staying in the race is the Uniparty still believe that because like this kangaroo appellate court in D.C. today, that they're gonna try to keep Trump off the ballot still with this phony insurrection business. And Biden and CNN and the liberals are separating Republicans from MAGA Republicans. And what they want you to believe, the Democrats and the media, the fake news, corporate media, which includes the Fox News channel, okay? By the way, if you missed my showing of Tucker in Russia, you can rewind the video to the beginning of the stream, and I played the entire Tucker Russia video at the beginning of the stream, by the way. But when you hear Biden say there are good Republicans and bad Republicans, there are Republicans and then there are MAGA Republicans, the MAGA Republicans are bad, you can see what he's doing here. And this whole uniparty narrative that was really started by the great Kari Lake and has made it so mainstream where all of us are using that term now. Instead of establishment, we're talking about uniparty. You can see the coordination between the uniparty Republican establishment and the Democrats by this separation between Republicans and MAGA Republicans, right?
The position of the MAGA Republicans can be characterized by the New York Times headline. First, and this is the headline, it reads, Trump first, Putin second, America third. That cannot...
Okay, that's the New York Times. Liberal Trump haters. That's not us. It's America first. The Trump policy, the MAGA train policy, is America first. Now, to get America first, we need Trump in there, but it's America first, all right? And Biden, he was in rare form today. And, you know, it's amazing to me that he's proud of himself wearing that Ukrainian flag and Ukrainian tie. Now, this is Benny Johnson, the great, you guys like Benny? I like Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson's an all right guy. Look at this, what he's put up here, because the left, the media having these meltdowns over the Putin interview by Tucker. Look at this. We've got NBC News, Bloomberg, Showtime, 60 Minutes, Associated Press. Look at this. This is Showtime getting ready to interview Putin. NBC News interviewing Putin. Is that Megyn Kelly when she was with NBC News? NBC News interviewing Putin. Associated Press interviewing Putin. And I believe this is CNN, but it could be the BBC. But I think it's CNN. CNN interviewing Osama bin Laden. So why is it okay for them to talk to Putin, or even this monster, Osama bin Laden, but somehow Tucker Carlson interviewing Putin is some type of treasonous act? Well, it's pretty simple, okay? They're stealing so much money from the U.S. government through Ukrainian funding, the Bidens and everyone on down the line in the establishment. And if Putin out, there must be. This is just my guess, and we may or may not get this in the Tucker interview, because the Tucker interview with Putin very well could start a chain of events with multiple interviews with other people with Putin. But there must be something that led up to Putin's invasion of Ukraine that the establishment and the fake news corporate media are terrified will be revealed by Putin. See, Putin hasn't had a platform because American and Western journalists have not bothered to interview the man to get his side of the story. Now, I'm not saying, I'm like Tucker. I'm not saying Putin's a good guy. I'm not defending Putin. But there's something, this war's fake. We know what the war's about. And there's something going on. Something happened that led up to Putin making his move on Ukraine, that they're panicked will be revealed by Tucker Carlson. Now, what that is, I don't know. But that's what they're freaked out about, okay? And, what's going to be next is when we start getting information about, not just rumors, by the way, when we start getting concrete proof of Zelensky and where he has the money stashed. Because if you guys that go way back, you remember Yasser Arafat. I'm gonna play the Tucker video in just a moment in its entirety, okay? In just a moment, so get ready. Yasser Arafat, who was the Palestinian leader of the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the United States was giving them billions and billions of dollars, and he was living, in dumps in Palestinian territories, but his family were living like billionaires in Paris with U.S. money. And if Tucker could start showing us how the Zelenskys are really living and his henchmen, that'd be something. All right, now, this is Tucker Carlson, the great Tucker Carlson, in Moscow, and he's talking about why he interviewed Vladimir Putin.
We're in Moscow tonight. We're here to interview the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. We'll be doing that soon. There are risks to conducting an interview like this, obviously, so we thought about it carefully over many months. Here's why we're doing it. First, because it's our job. We're in journalism.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm a journalist. I'm a reporter. I interview people. and the top, let me tell you, Trump is the most trusted man in America, okay? But in the world of media, is not Tucker Carlson the most trusted man in media? No doubt about it.
Our duty is to inform people. 2 years into a war that's reshaping the entire world, most Americans are not informed. They have no real idea what's happening in this region, here in Russia or 600 miles away in Ukraine. But they should know. They're paying for much of it in ways they might not fully yet perceive.
See, now there's another great point from the great Tucker Carlson. Other than, by the way, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I live stream 7 days a week. I broadcast on the radio Monday through Friday. I upload my podcast to this channel, and I vlog and also upload videos like live streams like I'm doing now quite often. So I'm here every day. You'll love my content, I promise you. Now, other than, and I'd like to hear some ideas on this. Other than the military-industrial complex and all the politicians, Zelensky, Biden, and all the kind of getting money, stealing money from Ukraine funding, what other reason is there for us to be involved in Ukraine? Is there any other credible reason other than the thievery of corrupt public officials that has us involved in Ukraine that you could think of? Well, maybe Putin will tell us.
The war in Ukraine is a human disaster. It's left hundreds of thousands of people dead, an entire generation of young Ukrainians, and has depopulated the largest country in Europe. But the long-term effects are even more profound. This war has utterly reshaped the global military and trade alliances, and the sanctions that followed have as well. And in total, they have upended the world economy. The post-World War II economic order, the system that guaranteed prosperity in the West for more than 80 years, is coming apart very fast, and along with it, the dominance of the U.S. dollar.
Yeah. Now this is another aspect here, okay? You know, this war, this proxy war with Russia through Ukraine that we're fighting, this is the only war where there have not been peace talks. Not since the Second World War, because, that was, the Second World War was unconditional surrender from Japan and Germany. But during Vietnam, there were peace talks, nonstop in Paris. During the Korean War, during the conflicts, without ceasefires, there were nonstop peace talks with the North Koreans during the Korean War, just like with the North Vietnamese during Vietnam. And when this war began, this senile old coot, Joe Biden, said he wouldn't talk to Putin. He won't take the man's call. Now, when I was growing up, and when I was a kid, we had the Cold War, which was another lie of the military-industrial complex. But during the Cold War, they used to tell us about that red phone in the Oval Office that had a direct line to the Kremlin. And I know landlines are, who has a landline anymore, but does that line still exist? When there's a conflict going on with a major power, and the United States and Russia are the big boys, and I'll tell you that the Russians, they have a huge nuclear arsenal. Think about this. You want to talk about charging people with crimes. Here you have Russia. We're at war with Russia. They have nuclear weapons right now aimed at all the American cities. Wherever you are in America, there's a Russian nuke aimed at you, right? Well, think about this. Think about this now. The Russian nuclear weapons, the Russian intercontinental ballistic missiles that are aimed at my city and your city, while Biden takes us to war, are weaponized with American uranium that Hillary Clinton, when Secretary of State, took a payoff to give to Russia. Remember? Hillary Clinton gave Russia, through some laundering of sorts through a Canadian company, et cetera, but gave Russia 20% of the U.S. uranium deposits, which they used to weaponize their missiles that are pointed at us right now. So if Tucker Carlson is some type of treasonous American traitor, according to the left, according to the media, because he's having a conversation with Putin, what does that make Hillary Clinton, who gave him the uranium, that he is weaponized his nuclear missiles that are pointed to American cities right now? Seems like that's a little more serious than having a conversation. All right, let's get back to the great Tucker Carlson.
The post-World War II economic order, the system that guaranteed prosperity in the West for more than 80 years, is coming apart very fast, and along with it, the dominance of the U.S. dollar. These are not small changes. They are history-altering developments. They will define the lives of our grandchildren. Most of the world understands this perfectly well. They can see it. Ask anyone in Asia or the Middle East what the future looks like. And yet the populations of the English-speaking countries seem mostly unaware. They think that nothing has really changed. And they think that because no one has told them the truth. Their media outlets are corrupt. They lie to their readers and viewers. And they do that mostly by omission.
Okay, now that's something I was talking about this morning. Media bias. Media bias is not mainly in an angle on a story. It's what stories they don't report, or what they don't report about a story, what he's talking about, omission. And the reality of the situation is this. The American mainstream media is the deep state, right? The mainstream media is the deep state. Now, Fox News are a bunch of jerks that can't be trusted. Here at Conservatives, we made them number one in cable news. Fine. And then what did they do? They've betrayed us time and time again. But they did us one great favor, Fox News. They fired this great man right here, this incredible journalist, Tucker Carlson. All right? And think about this. Think about this. Tucker Carlson sat down yesterday and interviewed Vladimir Putin, completely unchained by Fox. You know, they fired him from Fox News because they thought they were going to control him. He had an entire week of programming on January 6th. He had one night and they fired him. And they thought that he had a non-compete. They thought he had a non-compete and he wouldn't be able to work until after the election. And Tucker Carlson has been doing kick-butt interview after kick-butt interview, and he's changed the game. And this is the biggest interview yet. This interview and what Tucker Carlson is doing and has been doing would not ever have happened if it wasn't for those jerks over at Fox News for letting them go. They screwed themselves, but they helped the country.
For example, since the day the war in Ukraine began, American media outlets have spoken to scores of people from Ukraine, and they've done scores of interviews with Ukrainian President Zelensky. We ourselves have put in a request for an interview with Zelensky, and we hope he accepts. But the interviews he's already done in the United States are not traditional interviews. They are fawning pep sessions specifically designed to amplify Zelensky's demand that the U.S. enter more deeply into a war in Eastern Europe and pay for it. That is not journalism. It is government propaganda. Propaganda of the ugliest kind, the kind that kills people. At the same time, our politicians and media outlets have been doing this, promoting a foreign leader like he's a new consumer brand. Not a single Western journalist has bothered to interview the president of the other country involved in this conflict, Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, and you know what I'm curious about that. I'm very curious about this. None of our journalists have interviewed Putin. Have any of them even tried? Have they put in a request? No, because they don't want to hear what he has to say. They don't want the war to slow down. Let me tell you something. If I had a son or daughter who was in high school or college and was thinking of enlisting in the military, I would do everything in my power to stop them from joining the military right now. Not until Trump's back. Would you let your child, I want you guys to think about this, would you want your child to enlist in the United States military run by Joe Biden, who sends American men and women off to fight wars so that his junkie kids can keep their drug and hooker habit going? Not me. Donald Trump, this is well known. President Trump talks about this a lot. President Trump is the only president since the end of the Second World War not to start a new conflict. All right, back to Tucker.
Most Americans have no idea why Putin invaded Ukraine or what his goals are now. They've never heard his voice. That's wrong. Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated in, and we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too. Freedom of speech is our birthright. We were born with the right to say what we believe. That right cannot be taken away no matter who is in the White House. But they're trying anyway. Almost 3 years ago, the Biden administration illegally spied on our text messages and then leaked the contents to their servants in the news media. They did this in order to stop a Putin interview that we were planning.
Now, this is amazing. The deep state went through his email and text messages. Twice. They did it again recently, he says. What kind? Putin's the tyrant? How is Putin the tyrant and we're the bastion of freedom and liberty when you have a journalist like Tucker Carlson, okay? He wants to interview Putin, so the deep state break into his phone, break into his emails? How are we the free country and Putin's not?
Last month, we're pretty certain they did exactly the same thing once again. But this time, we came to Moscow anyway. We are not here because we love Vladimir Putin. We are here because we love the United States, and we want it to remain prosperous and free. We paid for this trip ourselves. We took no money from any government or group, nor are we charging people to see the interview. It is not behind a paywall. Anyone can watch the entire thing, shot live to tape and unedited, on our website, tuckercarlson.com. Elon Musk, to his great credit, has promised not to suppress or block this interview once we post it on his platform, X, and we're grateful for that. Western governments, by contrast, will certainly do their best to censor this video on other less principled platforms because that's what they do. They are afraid of information they can't control. But you have no reason to be afraid of it. We are not encouraging you to agree with what Putin may say in this interview, but we are urging you to watch it. You should know as much as you can. And then, like a free citizen and not a slave, you can decide for yourself. Thanks.
Oh, man. Well, thank you, Tucker Carlson. I mean, my goodness, he's awesome. Now, if you'd like to support my content, a great way to do that is to get your Mighty MAGA Lion. The Mighty MAGA Lion is available exclusively through me at MightyMAGALion.com. There's a link in the description of the video to the website, MightyMAGALion.com. Mighty MAGA Lion here, he is cute and cuddly, just like our great President Donald Trump. And the Mighty MAGA Lion is the only Trump-inspired merch that's actually wearing the great MAGA hat. So go to MightyMAGALion.com and order yours. If you order more than one, you get a discount. MightyMAGALion.com. And again, there's a link in the description of the video. MightyMAGALion.com. And you'll love him. He's cute. He's cuddly. This guy, and very well made. This guy, I took him out to, I live in Florida, took him out to L.A., went to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and this Mighty MAGA Lion right here, those paws right there stood on President Trump's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I got pictures of him. If you go to my Instagram, you can see it. So this Tucker Carlson interview is causing a complete panic. And the panic is being caused for good reason, because they don't want this war to end. And this is the beginning of the end of the war. And that's what we all want, right? No matter what war is going on, don't you want a non-violent, peaceful end to that war? I do. Don't you? Who wants more war? That's a good person. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, all right? You will love my content. I live stream 7 days a week. I always take live calls when I'm live streaming, as I was doing earlier in the stream. I broadcast on the radio weekdays right here on this YouTube channel. I do streams like this quite often. I also upload my podcast that I co-host with my wife, the Brian Craig Show podcast, to this channel as well. So you will definitely love my content. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining me, and I will see you next time.